Good evening, people! Welcome to J-Ho the Sports Dude. Welcome to episode 3 of my podcast, and welcome back. And today's a very busy day for Boston sports, and let me shut this off. Alright then, so today's a pretty big day. So today we're going to be recapping the Red Sox Astros series, in which we had game 1 and 2 with a split between the Astros and Red Sox. And also, I'm going to do something I've never really done before, but I'm going to do a post-game reaction right after the game. So, because game 3 is actually going on right now, and Red Sox are leading 3-2, and hopefully that stands. But so after the game, right after the game, I'm going to recap what happened and what I think. And also, we'll be talking about the big game this week, in which the Patriots beat the unbeaten Kansas City Chiefs. So, I guess they're not unbeaten anymore. So, and also, the Celtics Game 1 is today. The NBA season starts. So, I'm going to do a NBA season and Celtics preview. So, and I also might be looking at some other stuff in the show. So, all right then. Why don't we start with the games that happened this weekend? So I actually thought that the Red Sox would win Game 1 because they were in Fenway Park and Chris Sale was pitching on the mound, and I was wrong. The Red Sox lost 7-2, and from the start, Chris Sale didn't exactly look like his normal self in the Second inning of this game. Sale allowed 2 runs with the bases loaded off a double from George Springer to put the Astros 2-0, and he didn't actually allow any more runs in the game, but he did look a little bit. Like I said, he didn't look like himself. And then Joe Kelly came in actually in the top of the 5th. And he actually got 3 straight out. So Joe Kelly looked good from at first, and then we'll get to him later. Verlander looked good until the 5th inning when he loaded the bases and walked Mitch Moreland for a score and threw a wild pitch against Benintendi for another score to tie the game. And then Verlander struck out Benintendi on a pretty iffy call, and Cora was arguing with the umpire for Benintendi's case, and he got ejected. So Cora got ejected in the 5th inning, and then the Astros scored at the top of the 6th inning with Kelly getting 2 Astros on base, and a base hit by Carlos Correa allowed the run to come in. And the rest of the Red Sox bullpen, Barnes and Brazier, played okay enough to not allow any runs, even though they both got 2 Astros on base. And then the Red Sox couldn't score, but I think the bullpen did their job to not allow any runs and to put them in a good position to tie the game in the 9th. And then, at the top of the 9th, Brandon Workman happened. Ugh. So first, Brandon Workman allows a home run off Josh Reddick. Then he walks Altuve, Ag Bregman, and then Gurriel hit a home run to basically end the game. So here are a few takeaways I had from this game. So even though Sale wasn't terrible, I didn't feel like he looked like himself, like I said before. Like, it just didn't seem like he had a comfortable fastball, and his command, I think, was a little off. And speaking of Sale, it was recently reported that Chris Sale was hospitalized with a stomach illness, but it seems like he's going to be all right, but this could probably have future implications on the series later down the line, so we'll see when Sale comes back to pitch. And also, Eduardo Nunez, let's just say that it seems like he's been very hit and miss at third base. Like, in this game, he had 2 missed opportunities that eventually led to runs. So the first was in the 6th inning, in which Nunez bobbled the ball, and if he didn't, he the Red Sox probably would have gotten a double play. Instead, the Astros got 2 players on base, and that would eventually lead to the run that would have given the Astros the lead. And also, he couldn't catch a ball hit by Bregman, who hit the ball hard into the left with 2 outs, which led to 2 runs in the second inning. So I wouldn't say that's as egregious as the error in the 6th inning, but Nunez does need to make that play. So I probably wouldn't have Nunez at third base again, because it seems like he's a little shaky at that spot. And the Red Sox offense was not very good in this game. They only had 3 hits, so the offense was a little flat. And I also thought defensively they weren't that great either. So it was a pretty just deflating loss in general. So going into the next game, game 2, I was pretty worried because David Price was coming up next, who hadn't won a playoff game, and last time we saw him in the playoffs, he got home runs hit off him from Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez, and he was going up to Garrett Cole, who was pitching really well, and so I was super worried. And plus, I think if they lost game 2, I think the series probably would have been over, because they would have had to go to Houston, and I don't think they would have won 2 games in Houston. However, that wasn't the case. The Red Sox actually won Game 2, 7-5. And while Price was not great, he did not completely combust. So I guess that's a step in the right direction. And Garrett Cole actually didn't look that great in this game. So in the first inning, Cole let 2 runs in with a Mookie double, Benintendi base hit for a score, an error when Cole was trying to throw the ball to Gurriel at first base. He then loaded the bases, and then Devers hit with a base hit to add another run. And Price in the second allowed 2 Astros on base in the second, and then they scored 2 runs off a double off George Springer. And then in the third inning, Price allowed a 2-run home run against Marwin Gonzalez. And I was thinking that, oh no, we're going to have another terrible Price night, and this game's just going to get really, really ugly really fast. However, it wasn't. Cole actually allowed 3 runs in the third inning after Bogarts, Pierce, Devers got on base, and Jackie Bradley hit a double into left field. So, and then Price pitched well for the rest of the game until he, after pitching for 2 more innings. Then Cole allowed 3 runs in the third inning after Bogarts, Pierce, Devers got on base, and Jackie Bradley hit a double in left field. And then the Red Sox scored a run in the 7th and the 8th to give them a 7-4 lead. And Porcello came in the 8th inning to get 3 outs. And then Kimbrel allowed a run after Springer doubled, and then he threw a wild pitch, and then a single from Altuve. But with 2 outs, I wasn't too worried, and eventually Kimbrel was able to get out of the 9th, and the Red Sox won. And so some of the takeaways I had for this game was I was actually impressed with a few players in the bullpen. Barnes and Brazier, who in the past, like, I was super worried when they came out because they looked very shaky. But I thought the past few games, they've looked actually pretty good. Even though at times they were shaky, they allowed 2 players on base in this game. I thought they looked pretty good. Also, the Red Sox offense came alive with 9 hits, so that was exciting to see. And for Game 2, I think the stars for the Red Sox were Mookie Betts, who so far in this postseason has kind of struggled a bit. He went 2 for 4, and he had an RBI, and definitely made an impact. And Rafael Devers went 2 for 3, and also had an RBI. So finally, the offense showed up. And this is actually, even though this game doesn't count as a David Price win, this is the first time that a team that David Price started for won a postseason game. So, like I said before, Price wasn't great, but he wasn't god awful. So I would say this is a step in the right direction for him. And also, Kimbrel at the end kind of was a bit shaky, but he did his job. Even though if the Red Sox are up by 1 in the ninth inning, I really don't want to see Kimbrel there because he hasn't really seemed to been that great in the postseason. I honestly can't think of one game in which he came in the ninth inning and didn't allow at least a run. So, so Kimbrel hasn't exactly gained my confidence at all. However, the series is tied, so it's up for grabs, and Game 3 is important because usually if a team wins Game 3, they usually win the series. And so we have Nathan Eovaldi and Dallas Keuchel going at each other in Game 3, and I'll once the game is over, I'll do a post game reaction to that game. All right, then. Why don't we move on to the Patriots, who played in probably the best game of the year so far in this NFL season. So the Patriots, who played the at the time unbeaten Chiefs, now hand the Kansas City Chiefs their first loss of the year, and so this game definitely lived up to the hype that surrounded it. This was probably the most hyped up game of the season so far because you had the supposed best team of the AFC going up against the gold standard in the AFC and the NFL. You had Patrick Mahomes coming in, who was lighting up the league, and I still think right now is the current frontrunner for MVP, and going up against the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, in his house. And so, yeah, the game lived up to the hype, and like I thought it would, and also like I thought there wouldn't be a lot of defense, and there definitely was not a lot of defense. There was a lot of yards and a lot of first downs. The Patriots had 500 yards, and the Chiefs had 446 yards. The Patriots had 31 first downs, and the Chiefs had 18. So, and also the Patriots did not actually punt once in this game. Not once. The Chiefs only punted once. So, not a lot of punting in this game. So, all right, let's do a quick recap of the game. So, the first half actually kind of reminded me of the first half of the Colts game, in which the Patriots moved the ball, and they literally just did whatever they wanted to do against the Chiefs' defense. And I got to say, the Chiefs' defense is really bad. And the Chiefs moved the ball, but they could not get into the end zone. And they also turned the ball over twice with a Dante Hightower interception and one in the end zone to Duron Harmon. And at the half, it was 24-9. And like the Colts game, the defense got destroyed in the second half. The Chiefs scored on the next 4 drives with a touchdown, which was a bomb to Tyreek Hill, a field goal, a touchdown after a Patriots fumble, and a touchdown after a 97-yard punt return. The Patriots got field goals, but they also turned the ball over. So eventually it was 33-30 Chiefs. Then the Patriots scored a touchdown in which Brady ran for a touchdown, which you never ever see. And the Chiefs punted. Yay. So that was the first punt they had all day. And like I said, the only punt of the day. And then the Patriots got a field goal. And then next thing you know, the Chiefs threw a bomb to Tyreek Hill again for a touchdown. And I was pretty pissed off because the defense was just so horrible. And they allowed the Chiefs to get to tie the game. But at the same time, I looked at the clock, and there was 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. And so I was thinking, they left too much time on the clock. And like considering how the defense was playing, they probably would have scored anyway. So I actually thought at the time, even though I didn't like that they scored a touchdown, I was thinking if they were going to score a touchdown, it's kind of better to do it this way than like milking the clock to where Brady couldn't get a game-winning drive to win the game. And so that's actually what happened. Tom Brady and the Patriots marched down the field while taking time off the clock, and that also part of the drive was a deep ball to Gronkowski to the 9-yard line to set up a game-winning field goal, and Gostowski hit a game winner, and the Patriots walked away with the victory. So there are a few takeaways I have from this game. So like I said on the last show, I thought the Patriots would run the ball so they can keep Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City offense off the field to limit their opportunities, and that's what they did. The Patriots had the ball for 36 minutes with 9 seconds, and the Chiefs had the ball for 23 minutes and 51 seconds. And the Patriots ran for 173 yards, with Sony Michel having 106 yards and averaging 4 yards per carry. And he also had 2 touchdowns. So I've been actually pretty impressed with Sony Michel the past 2 games. And like I said on the last show, I thought that the Patriots would also be able to throw on the Chiefs if they needed to, and they were able to do that. Tom Brady had another great performance, especially in the first half and the fourth quarter. He went 24 for 35 with 340 yards and a touchdown, and they were able to use the short passing game to take advantage of the Chiefs' terrible linebacking core, and they were able to throw deep passes down the field when they needed to, and they also spread the ball really well between Gronk, Hogan, Edelman, White, and Gordon. And while Gronk didn't have a great game, he made incredibly clutch catches when he needed to. Like that deep catch with the stiff arm on a Chief defender, and the game-winning catch to set up the game-winning field goal. And I would say I actually thought at times the offense was a little Josh Gordon dependent in a lot of key situations, like when Brady tried to throw it to Josh Gordon on a 4th down on the first drive, and when he tried to throw to Josh Gordon when they were in the red zone. But I think in the fourth quarter, Brady threw more to the receivers he trusted more. So I think Brady will eventually get that trust with Josh Gordon. But I thought at times they were a little too Josh Gordon happy. And now let's talk about my favorite topic, the Patriots defense. Where do we even begin? So let me list some positive things that they did, because I think they did do some positive things. I thought last week I said that they should limit Travis Kelce, and I thought they did a okay job on Travis Kelce. He didn't exactly explode on the Patriots. He had 5 catches and 61 yards, and I also thought they did a pretty good job at limiting the run game. Kareem Hunt had 80 yards on 10 carries, and they rushed for 94 yards. So they did an okay job, I thought, against the run. And I thought in the first half, especially in the red zone, they did a very good job of getting pressure on Patrick Mahomes, which made him miss some wide open receivers. That's about it. And I also give them credit. They did enough to allow the Patriots to win this game. So, but other than that, they were pretty horrible, especially in the second half. I also said that they had to limit the damage that Tyreek Hill could do, and they definitely did not do that. Tyreek Hill had 7 receptions, 142 yards, and he had 3 touchdowns, and 2 of those touchdowns were 2 bombs in which Tyreek Hill was wide open. And to me, it looked like there was some serious miscommunication in coverage. And also, it looked like Tyreek Hill was just 1,000 times faster than everybody on the field. So, and Kareem Hunt actually had a good game receiving. He had 5 receptions for 105 yards. I think he had a better game receiving than rushing. And overall, and Patrick Mahomes also had a really good game with he went 23 for 36 and he threw for 352 yards and he had 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And so and again, the Patriots defense was just terrible. They Even though I said in the first half they got some pressure on Patrick Mahomes, and they definitely did not get any pressure on him in the second half. Plus, they weren't able to get any sacks on Patrick Mahomes. I think right now the Patriots are last in the NFL in sacks, actually tied with the Oakland Raiders and the New York Giants. So 2 really awful teams, both teams that are 1-5. So that's great. And the linebackers were terrible. They couldn't get any key tackles. The secondary was awful, like allowing 2 deep bombs to Tyreek Hill. So the defense was just horrible. I also thought that special teams for the Patriots were a pretty mixed bag. I don't think the special teams did a great job of getting good fielding for the Patriots, especially that 97-yard return, which eventually led to a touchdown. But I actually thought Steven Gostowski had a really good game. He went 5 for 5 on field goals, including a 50-yard field goal and the game-winning field goal. So I thought Steven Gostowski was a star in the game also. So I think the big takeaway from this game is that even though the Chiefs are a really good team, I think the team to beat in the AFC is still the Patriots. I still think the Patriots are the kings of the AFC. Also, this victory could have big playoff implications. So if the Patriots and the Chiefs have the same record, then the Patriots would have home field advantage, and that would definitely be key for the playoffs. And also, I might as well mention this, but when Tyreek Hill got into the end zone, there was a fan who threw beer at him, and I believe Tyreek Hill and his agent are filing charges against the fan. So, you don't do that. I mean, like, don't throw things at the players. Sometimes I think fans need to be accountable for doing stupid stuff, like throwing or saying like incredibly idiotic things at players, because players are human too. And even though, I mean, Tyreek Hill, I think if you go into the stands on the road, I think you know that they're probably not going to embrace you. But at the same time, I'm fine, and I believe he's banned from Gillette Stadium, and good riddance to him. All right, then, why don't we take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll do a Celtics and NBA season preview with the NBA kicking off tonight with the Celtics and 76ers playing against each other, and the Golden State Warriors playing the OKC Thunder, the Russell Westbrook-less Golden OKC Thunder. And since Game 3's about to wrap up, I'm pretty sure the Red Sox are going to win that game. I'll do a recap of that. All right, then. Welcome back to J-Ho, the sports dude at WMUA. And before we continue the show, I wanted to actually say rest in peace to 2 people. So the first is Paul Allen, who is the owner of the Seahawks and Portland Trailblazers, and also the one of the founders of Microsoft, along with Bill Gates. He was one of the best owners in sports, and he will be missed. And I also wanted to say rest in peace to John Martin, who is a Nesson cameraman. So condolences to their families, and rest in peace. All right, then. Why don't we move on to let's move on to basketball. The NBA season starts today, and the first game is the 76ers and Boston Celtics. And speaking of the Boston Celtics, let's take a look at the Boston Celtics this year. So last year, Boston was 55 and 27. They were the second seed in the East to the Toronto Raptors. In the playoffs, they beat the Milwaukee Bucks in 7 games, beat the Philadelphia 76ers in 5 games, but unfortunately they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers in 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. During the regular season, they were number 1 in the NBA in defensive rating, and they were 18th in offensive rating in the NBA. Yeah. Also, that year, the Celtics dealt with some pretty tough injuries. Gordon Hayward got injured in the first game with a horrible ankle injury, which I remember when I saw that I couldn't move for like 10 minutes. I was that in shock. And Kyrie Irving got injured towards the end of the season. So I remember going into the playoffs. I didn't really expect much, and they actually they did beyond what I expected, and they took the Cleveland Cavaliers to 7 games. And I think if they shot better from 3, they definitely would have went to the NBA Finals. But on to this year. So this year, I'm looking for the Boston Celtics to take the next step. The team is healthy and it's more experienced. And looking at this team, I definitely think it's the best roster in the East, and they also have, I believe, one of the best rosters in the NBA. In the starting 5, you have Kyrie Irving, you got Gordon Hayward, you got Jaylen Brown, you got Jason Tatum, and you got Al Horford. And off the bench, you got Marcus Smart, Terry Rozier, Marcus Morris, and Aaron Baines. So you got plenty of depth off the bench. And Brad Stevens, who I believe, if not the best coach, he's probably the second best coach to Greg Popovich, is in his 5th year. And so what I expect is Kyrie to be Kyrie Irving. I believe he'll lead the team in points. Gordon Hayward, I don't expect to be himself right off the bat, because I think he's still somewhat trying to get back into basketball shape. So I think it'll take a few weeks, but I think eventually we'll see the old Gordon Hayward. And I also expect a leap for the young guys too. Terry Rozier is in his 3rd year. I expect him to play better. Jaylen Brown, this is his 3rd year. I expect him to make a leap. And Jason Tatum, I also expect to make a leap as well, who is in his 2nd year. Especially Jason Tatum. In the playoffs, he was probably the Celtics' best offensive player. So I expect a lot from them. And looking at the Celtics themselves, every year I've noticed that the Celtics, they always take the next step. 2 years ago, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they got destroyed by Cleveland. Last year, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals and took the Cavs to 7 games. So I think the next step is for them to make the NBA Finals. Right now, the Celtics are the clear favorite, and even though I'm a little worried about all the hype, because sometimes teams don't live up to the hype, I think the Celtics, I think they're up for the challenge. And I think this team can compete with the Golden State Warriors as well, and I think they could probably beat them. When you look at the Warriors, they're one of the greatest teams of all time, and they're definitely a dynasty. But I think there are 2 ways. I think I said this on my first show, but there's 2 ways I think teams can beat them. One, you can outshoot them, which the Rockets tried to do, and it didn't really work. I mean, that's really hard because they have 3 of the best shooters, not only in the NBA, probably of all time, with Curry and Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson. Or play physical with them and make clutch shots. That's what I believe the Cavs did when they beat them in the finals. They played physical with them, and they had someone who could make buckets when they need to, and they had someone who could make clutch shots when they needed to. That was Kyrie Irving and LeBron James. And Kyrie Irving's with the Celtics, and I believe Kyrie Irving can make clutch shots when the game's on the line. And I also believe that the Celtics can be physical and play defense well against the Warriors. And I believe, and also they're really. I think they could be a pretty good shooting team. Probably not Warriors good, but I think they could be really good. My prediction for this year, I'm gonna actually go pretty big. I'm gonna say the Celtics go 63-19. Yeah, my expectations are pretty high, so I have high expectations, and I think they can meet them. All right, then. Why don't we do a NBA season preview, shall we? So let's. I'm gonna go through the East, and I'm gonna go through the West, and I'm gonna tell you my prediction on what the seeding will be. This obviously is going to probably change. Obviously, this is probably going to change during the year when we actually get to see these teams. But this is what my gut's telling me right now. So let's start with the West. Number one, I think the number one seed is going to be the Warriors. What a shock. Number two, I think it's going to be the Rockets. Number three, I think it's going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. Number four is going to be Utah. Number five, I believe, will be the Lakers. 6 will be Spurs. 7 will be Pelicans. 8 Nuggets. 9 Portland Trailblazers. 10 Minnesota Timberwolves. 11 Clippers. 12 Suns. 13 Mavericks. 14 Grizzlies. And 15 Kings. And in the East, I got the Celtics in the 1 seed. I got the Raptors 2. Then I got the 76ers at 3. And then I got Milwaukee Bucks. I got the Pacers. I got the Wizards. I got the Miami Heat. I got the Detroit Pistons. And then I got the Cavs at 9th. And then I have the Hornets. I got the Nets, Knicks, Bulls, Hawks. And then last, I got the Orlando Magic. And then my prediction for Coach of the Year is going to be Brad Stevens. And my MVP, I believe, will be... so this one was tough. There's a lot of options. You could go with Kawhi Leonard. You can go with LeBron James. You can go with Kyrie Irving. You can go with Giannis Antetokounmpo. But I actually went with Anthony Davis. Even though I picked the Pelicans to be a 7th seed, I think Anthony Davis will put up amazing stats. His stats will be good enough to win MVP. And as far as who I'm going to pick to go to the finals, I'm going to go with the Golden State Warriors versus the Boston Celtics. And who am I going to pick to win? Who I wonder who will be. I'm going with the Boston Celtics in 7 games. You heard it there, folks. All right, then. Why don't we move on to Game 3 between the Red Sox and Astros, which ended with the Red Sox winning 8-2. So why don't we do a quick recap of this game? So the Red Sox actually started the game by getting 2 runs in the first with Betts and Benintendi getting singles and J.D. Martinez getting a double for a run, and then Bogarts grounding out to let in another run. But however, the Astros got a run in the first with Altuve and Bregman getting singles, then Gonzalez hitting a single, and which allowed a run. And then the Astros tied the game in the 5th with Altuve getting walked and Bregman doubling into the left for a run. However, Steve Pearce got the lead back to the Red Sox with a home run in the 6th. And in the 8th, Osuna loaded up the bases. Then Moreland was hit by a pitch to give the Sox a 4-2 lead. And then Jackie Bradley Jr. basically sealed the game with the grand slam out of the park. And it was game over. Checkmate. So, looking at this game, 2 things stand out to me. So, one, I was actually impressed with Evaldi, who I thought had a pretty good game. He wasn't as good as he was against the Yankees. He did allow a lot of Astros to get on base, but he got key outs when he needed to, and he only allowed 2 runs to that amazing Astros lineup. Also, I've got to mention this, but after Game 2, when Nathan Eovaldi was announced as a starter, Alex Bregman decided he was going to post a bunch of videos on Instagram trolling Nathan Eovaldi, in which when Eovaldi was a Tampa Bay Ray, he gave up back-to-back home runs against Altuve, Bregman, and George Springer. So, George, remember what happened when Aaron Judge played New York, next to the Red Sox bench in Fenway Park? Yeah, I think you know now. Also, the Red Sox were able to get key hits at key moments, and like I said in the series preview, they might have to hit a home run to get some runs. And in this game, they hit two home runs, one by Steve Pearce and the other by Jackie Bradley Jr. to seal the game. So very very impressed by the Red Sox offense. And so, also, one thing to look at is Ansuna. Yeah, he looked pretty horrible in this game, just like how Brendan Workman looked in Game 1. So, uh, look out for when the Red Sox are going up against him, because he seems like he's a guy who can be had. And so on to Game 4, where Rick Porcello will be starting for the Red Sox, and Charlie Morton will be starting for the Houston Astros. And so it's a good chance for the Red Sox to take a 3-1 lead in the series, or the Houston Astros will tie the series, and then we'll have a Game 5 that could possibly decide the series. And also, speaking of the Houston Astros, I actually just found out about some news regarding the Houston Astros. So it's being reported that employee might have been trying to spy on the Boston Red Sox in Game 1. So this is a report from Metro Boston. So let me read what the source says. In the third inning of the first game of the series, security removed a man claiming to be an Astros employee from the media credential area next to the Boston Red Sox dugout, according to multiple security sources who were on the scene at the time of the incident. The man had a small camera and was texting frequently, but did not have any media credentials. So this is just an initial report. And both the Red Sox and the Astros have no comment on this story, but I like trying to get signals and like stealing signs is nothing new to baseball. It's something that teams try to do all the time, and it's been a part of baseball for years. I remember last year the Red Sox had the whole like Apple Watch thing, which was kind of weird, but and honestly, I don't think sign stealing, like I said, sign stealing isn't uncommon. But if this story is true, and the Astros were trying to steal signs from the Red Sox in Game 1, that's not a very good look. And I'm curious what this investigation is. But so let's not draw any conclusions yet, because this is just a report. But if it's true, it doesn't look good for the Houston Astros. All right, then. Why don't we... okay, let's do one more thing before we wrap up. So why don't we do a quick preview of the next game for the Patriots, which is the Chicago Bears. So the Chicago Bears have... so last week, the Chicago Bears somehow lost to the Miami Dolphins, who were led by Brock Osweiler. And I didn't watch that game, but from what I could tell, each team was doing their best to hand each other the victory. But Miami somehow pulled it off at the end. So obviously that makes Chicago look a little less intimidating. But I'm sure Chicago is very motivated by being embarrassed by a Brock Osweiler-led Dolphins team. So looking at the Chicago Bears, Let's start with their defense because that's their signature. So, as far as yards per game, uh, the Chicago Bears are 10th in the NFL. And as far as passing yards per game, the Chicago Bears are 16th. And rushing yards per game against the rush, the Chicago Bears are 4th. So looking at this team, they're really good against the run, and they're not great against the pass. And offensively per game, the Chicago Bears are 19th as far as yards, and passing yards, the Chicago Bears are 22nd, and as far as rushing yards, the Chicago Bears are 8th. And so, looking at this team, so here are the keys for New England to win this game against the Chicago Bears, because I believe that the New England Patriots are probably going to be favored against Chicago, but I do believe that the Patriots are a better team than the Chicago Bears, but they shouldn't take them lightly, because I'm assuming that Khalil Mack and the defense and all those boys are going to be really pissed that they lost to the Miami Dolphins and Brock Osweiler. So first, the Patriots, I think the Patriots should pass all over the Chicago Bears, because they're pretty good against the rush, but they're not great against the pass. So I think look for Tom Brady to have a big day to throwing to Gronk and Julian Edelman and Chris Hogan and James White. And as far as defense, I would say the Patriots should try to limit the run game, and it's not just Jordan Howard and their running backs. Limit Mitchell Trubisky, who has legs and can run the football. Try to limit the Chicago Bears from running the football. And I believe the Chicago Bears are probably going to try to run the football, so to limit the opportunities that Tom Brady has of getting on the field. And so put the game in Mitchell Trubisky's hands, because Mitchell Trubisky has not proven that he's a consistent passer. He's had moments, but he to me, he hasn't really shown that he can be a consistent passer, even though the Patriots at times have made terrible passers like Blake Bortles look great. So I would say for the offense, pass all over them. And as far as the defense, I would say stop the run, and then I would say put the ball in Mitchell Trubisky's hands, and let's see how it goes from there. So as far as a prediction, I think this game could be interesting for a little bit of the game, but I think at the end the Patriots will take the game over. And so my prediction for this game, I'm gonna go with Patriots 31, Bears 23. So I think it'll be a good game for a while, but I think in the end the Patriots are just going to win the game. All right, then. Thank you for listening to J-Ho, the Sports Dude at WMUA, and see you next week, and I'm out.